Hello, and welcome to the Low Season Traveller Influencer series of podcasts, where each week for the next 6 weeks, we'll be speaking to the next generation of travel influencers who inspire us to travel to new and exciting destinations around the world. We've got some incredible guests lined up for you over the coming weeks, and whilst each one of them has a very different approach, they all have some common traits. Firstly, they are all deeply passionate about the content they create, and they do this because of their genuine love and care for travel and the world around them. Secondly, nearly all of our guests have regular 9-to-5 jobs, and they create their content out of their absolute love of all things travel. Next, none of our guests are in any way, shape or form connected with or to the established travel industry. They're basically all just travel geeks like you and me. Next, every one of our guests in this series takes the time to engage closely with their audience. They're very responsive to their audience, and they always make sure that they appreciate their audience as they go. And finally, they all care deeply and think carefully about the impact and the effect of their travel on the world around them, as they consider the environmental, sustainability, ethical and community impacts of their travel. The joy and passion which these influencers have for the world around us is abundantly evident in each case, and I can tell you that these were the most fun to record of all of our 150 plus podcasts to date. So, without further ado, I am very proud to bring you episode 1 of our influencer series. Emma Gill is a travel photographer and videographer. Uncomfortable with the label of influencer, Emma travels and shares with her audience how she creates the shots and videos that she creates to inspire her ever-growing audience of over 60,000 followers. In a way, she brings her audience on a tour behind the scenes of travel, photography and videography. In this episode, we learn from Emma how and why she does what she does, and we discuss how we can celebrate authenticity more in social media. So join us as we discuss all of this, and also we cover off the Joshua Tree National Park, Arizona, Scotland, the Northern Lights and much more. You are definitely going to want to see where Emma stayed in some of these places, some very, very cool places. Enjoy. So Emma, welcome to the Low Season Traveller Insider Guides podcast. How are you today?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm very good indeed. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join us, and especially to be part of this so-called influencer series, which we're doing just to help people understand a little bit more about up-and-coming influencers and the kind of content which you guys are producing. I was going to say for the industry, but you're not part of the travel industry, are you?
No, I'm not. I'm a video editor.
I know, I love it. So you define yourself in your bio as a travel photographer and videographer. So I guess one of the first questions I've got for you is how did you come to be an influencer? Would you ever describe yourself as an influencer, by the way?
I've got like a weird relationship with the term influencer because I feel like I don't really influence people. I like to help people learn how to do different photography styles or different editing styles. And sometimes I think when you think of the word influencer, you think of someone who's, I don't know, either influencing for like a big change in the world or being like, buy this handbag. And I don't think I'm either of those things. So I just like to kind of teach people how to do stuff as opposed to influence.
But to be fair, you do it from some fabulous, from some fabulous locations around the world. So you do, when you're on your travels, and the effects are absolutely stunning. But you're right, and we spoke about this very briefly off air. But again, for our listeners, you need to check the feed out for yourself. But it's like I likened it before to, it's like a magician or somebody that's actually saying, look, this is actually what I'm really doing. It's not magic at all. You kind of you have this incredible authenticity about your feed and about what you do. You make it very, very real, very, very authentic. and you're very unpretentious about it. You're very generous in sharing, actually. I mean, so again, tell for the audience at home that if they haven't come across your feed yet, tell them in your own words what you do on your feed.
So I do like the normal travel photography type of thing, but then with the photos that I edit, say if I edit some people out of the background and stuff like that, I show people how you can do that yourself. And I also I try to make fun of it as well. So using funny audios on reels and stuff like that, and just show the before and after of some of my biggest liked photos. So yeah,
I love that. One of the posts which I really loved was how my Instagram audience sees me, and versus the reality. I just thought it was brilliant. I was absolutely killing myself laughing, and it's so true, because we always kind of suspect that it's not. Life can't be that perfect in Instagram world. But again, I love the way in which you actually just sort of show people what the reality is. You also do these kind of brilliant shots which are before and after, like you were just sort of saying there before about editing people out. And in my absolute ignorance, now I work in the travel industry, and as an industry we were guilty in the days when you had travel brochures. Absolutely, the travel industry was guilty for photoshopping the photos, making that beach look like it's a white sandy beach, and then when you get to that beach, wherever it is somewhere in Europe, and all of a sudden it doesn't look like the Maldives, and you're shocked. So we were quite sort of deceptive in that way. But what I was surprised at is I had no idea. I've been looking at all of these wonderful Instagram photos in front of the Taj Mahal and in front of the Great Pyramids in Giza. And, this Instagrammer is there, looking absolutely fabulous, and they're the only one there. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to find out what time of the day they get there. Maybe they're low season travelers. They're going, when the crowds aren't there. But you, of course, lift the lid on this completely and say, well, no, it literally is just all about the edit. And it then makes me think, how much of the stuff that we look on Instagram, how much of that do we think is real versus how much is very, very professionally and well edited? What do you reckon?
I think, to be honest with you, with anything on social media, nothing is real. And I know that sounds really, really morbid.
Such a cynic.
Yeah, like if even if you take a selfie, for example, you're going to take about 40 selfies before you get the one that you like. So I think everything is a bit of a lie in a way. I think I mean, I'm not completely innocent of it. I think ages ago when I first started out, all I used to post was the edited photos that were perfectly like cropped out all the people, add in filters and all that kind of stuff. And then I think gradually with like TikTok as well coming up, that's helped people be more authentic. Nobody really wants to see perfect all the time. And I think especially with, the lockdown, it's kind of made people say, well, actually life isn't perfect, and we want to see real stuff on our feed and not just feel jealous all the time of people. So yeah,
I think that's really interesting. Is that one of the gifts that the lockdown has given us, actually, that it's almost given us permission to be normal? I've experienced it with Zoom calls where it's actually okay, and I still you laugh. I go through this rigmarole every time. So as we're talking here, for our listeners at home who can't see us both, by the way, I'm wearing my favorite hoodie at the moment, not looking, super professional or anything else. And that's kind of, I think during the lockdown that was kind of accepted. However, I will say at the beginning part of the lockdown, I would take the hoodie off. I have a shirt and a tie hung just near me. I'd have the shirt already buttoned up. I'd slip it over my head, put the tie on, and then I would do the Zoom call. As soon as I would finish the Zoom call, by the way, off it goes back into the t-shirt. And you just got to that point where we started thinking, we're all in the same boat. We're all at home. Everybody knows I'm not sat in my suit for 9 hours a day or 10 hours a day. Therefore, can we just be real about this? And I think we started to see that a little bit on Zoom. Is that what you sort of think has been really sort of happening, I guess, in social media as well with Instagrammers and such like as well?
Yeah, definitely. I do think TikTok had a big part to play in it, because I think Instagram originally was, all the influencers on there. I do that with brackets for people who can't see me. It was a very perfect platform, and then TikTok came along and people were just uploading silly 15-second videos of them, doing whatever with no makeup on, just having fun. And then Reels launched on Instagram, and it kind of brought that authentic feel from TikTok over to Instagram. But yeah, I do think lockdown as well has helped. I think it's a combination of the two. Obviously, I think TikTok came around before COVID. And yeah, I think they've just kind of helped each other, really. And also then a lot of other big influencers. I think there's an Australian comedian called Celeste Barber. She takes videos of models and then she recreates it and just kind of takes the mix. So I think there have been other Instagrammers or influencers that have kind of started that trend, and I think it's really important. There is like a trend going around at the moment, actually, where people use a beauty filter and then they'll take it off to show what they actually look like, and it's just kind of about like pushing your comfort levels to show this is what life is actually like. Everyone's going through the same thing. And I think that's really important, especially for like girls as well, to just see that life's not completely, airbrushed.
I suppose it's a little bit like, I think it was one of the companies, it might have been Dove, that was talking about real beauty, and it was like, taking off your makeup and, sort of, be proud of who you are underneath the makeup or whatever else. I guess it's possibly a sort of a bit of a reflection of that as well, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a bigger body positive movement as well that's happened in recent years, which I think's really helped. Like with even celebrities like Demi Lovato or Lizzo, just really like being big champions for that, which is great.
Absolutely. So then onto the sort of the travel side of things. You are very well traveled. I've had a look at a list of destinations which I've sort of got from your Instagram, where it's clear that you've traveled to. And in fact, again, for those at home that can't see, my background is the Joshua Tree National Park, and that was inspired by one of your reels, which I saw, where you were staying in a fabulous place there. So when were you in Joshua Tree?
Oh gosh, I think it was 2019 in October. We stayed in an Airbnb, which is the one that you probably saw. It was
That's
like
amazing, that place.
Yeah, it was lovely. I put that video on TikTok and it kind of blew up to like 4 million views. It went really crazy. Yeah, and then I had to like message the Airbnb host to be like, hey, you might get some more bookings. But like even with that, like how you say about like the reality versus Instagram, with that location, like it was stunning and it was lovely. But if you're not a fan of wildlife, then you're not going to like it. But sadly I didn't film that side of it, so I just left it as the beautiful location that it is, because it is really stunning. But there were like mice and stuff,
Yeah, but that's okay. I think anybody that's going to stay somewhere like that, you're possibly going to know what the it's not going to be completely a sanitized version. You're out in the wild, and you're out in these huge wide open spaces. But for those that are listening, you need to check this out on this particular reel from the national park. It looks like a camper. Is it like a camper that's been converted?
It's like an old Airstream, I think they call them in America. We don't really have many of those in the UK, so yeah, but it's really cool. It had like a kind of like a tub outside. It wasn't a hot tub. It looks like a hot tub, but it was absolutely freezing. But because you're in the middle of the desert, then I guess it helps, so you don't really care. But yeah, it was lovely.
It looked absolutely amazing. And again, I think those kind of destinations. I don't know how much, if any, work was done on the editing on that, but those kind of destinations, I mean, they're beautiful anyway. I wouldn't have thought they would need much tinkering with those kind of places.
Yeah, no, like we love kind of staying in really unique places when we go away. We're actually meant to be going to Norway in 2020, but then it got cancelled. I wonder why. I'm not sure. And we were going to stay in like a dome hotel. So basically, it's just a big glass dome that we were going to stay in. But sadly, we couldn't stay there. So hopefully, we get to go there at some point. But we just love staying in really unique places as opposed to just, I don't know, finding a normal hotel with like a normal bed or whatever. So yeah.
Do you know, you would, if you're not familiar with this website, another good one for our listeners as well. We've got partners that we worked on a low season travel summit last year called World of Glamping, worldofglamping.com. If you go on that website, some of the stuff there is absolutely, it's off the radar. It's absolutely crazy. It's, it's tree houses, it's igloos, it's all those kind of, quirky, a little bit different, definitely, if it's a word, the right word, Instagrammable, 100%. These kind of places are just off the charts. They're super, super cool.
I think I think it definitely adds to a holiday or to a trip. Just staying in somewhere that's so unique. We stayed in a little log cabin that was opposite Monument Valley when we went to America, and it was just one of the best. I mean, it was the highlight of the trip, I think, as well, because we set our alarm at like 6 a.m, so that we could watch the sun come up, and we moved our pillows to the other end of the bed. We left the curtains open, and as soon as the alarm went off, we both woke up and we were just like, wow, like we just audibly gasped because it was so beautiful. So I do think that's a big part of the stuff that we like to do when we travel, is just stay somewhere that's so different to where we come from. So yeah,
I think the accommodation, where you stay, there's a lot of people that sort of say to me, oh, well, it's just somewhere to put your head for the night. But it's not. It can really make or break the trip that you have, and especially the location of it. So that one at Monument Valley, again, I was looking at that as well, and that is a fabulous location. I mean, that's, again, for our listeners at home, you need to check this out really on the feed. But it's overlooking, what's the name of that monument? It's Monument Valley. I don't know what the main monolith is, but it looked like you're just right outside it. I mean, obviously quite a way away, but nothing else for miles around. I mean, that was just amazing, middle of nowhere.
Yeah, so that place is called the View Hotel. It has a hotel section that's like up on the hill a bit more, and then it's also got a camping and lodging area. So we stayed in one of their lodges. I don't actually know what that middle rock is called. I just know it as Monument Valley.
Yeah.
But it also had on site there a horse riding company called the Sacred Mountain Tour Company, and we went on a 2-hour horse ride around just that area, and it was just the most amazing experience ever. Like, the guy who took us on the tour was like a proper cowboy. And he'd like, I think he'd worked there for like 60 years or something, and he found like arrowheads, and it was just amazing. He was really cool and really knowledgeable.
I love that. So one question I've got to ask is, you're staying in all of these places, and when you travel, you have a full-time job, right? This isn't your full-time job. This is, what is this? Is this a hobby? What is it for you?
It's 100% a hobby. I'd love it if it could become a full-time thing. Basically, I kind of, we only go on like 2-week long trips, but from my Instagram, it looks like I'm constantly traveling, which is another terrible lie, and it's not very authentic, and I'm very sorry about that. But I don't have the money to travel full time. I mean, it'd be great, but it's just not a thing. So yeah, that's kind of what it is. It's a hobby. We save up and we go out for 2 weeks, and we capture as much content as possible, and then we come back and I edit it all, and then I drip feed it out as slow as possible. I've definitely run out now. You can probably tell from my feed because I'm repeating a lot of things. We're actually due to go to Scotland on Thursday, so hopefully I'll have some new stuff then. But yeah, it's just a hobby.
So you don't. This is really interesting now as well, from the point of view of, a lot of our listeners are from within the travel industry. So, tourist boards, hotels, tour operators. Do you engage with the travel industry? So, when you're staying in the places in Monument Valley, etc., do you sort of approach them ahead of time and say, Emma's here, what have you got for us? Or, obviously not quite like that, but do you know what I mean? Do you sort of say, look, my name's Emma, I have a channel and I have an audience. Would you be interested in doing some kind of a collaboration? Do you do that kind of thing for different tourism companies?
Sadly, I don't. I probably should. I think the word influencer has kind of a bad connotation sometimes. I think sometimes people can probably, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this, but take the piss a little bit, where they'll like message a hotel and be like, hey, can I stay in your hotel for free? And that'll be it. I think sometimes you have to kind of go around the right way for it. I've contacted companies in the past in regards to like hiring a camper van or something like that, but telling them exactly what I could give to them in terms of content, which is a lot because I know that I don't have the biggest following compared to other people that they probably already have on board. I think if I had more followers as well, then I'd probably go for it a bit more. I'd be a bit more confident about it. Because I'm a freelance video editor for other companies, I know the kind of amounts of followers that big companies want. So I guess I just don't tend to reach out as much. But I mean, if anyone's listening and they need anyone, hi.
But that's this is really what a lot of this series is all about, Emma. It's about up and coming influencers who are absolutely really, really great in this space, who are developing their following very rapidly, and you certainly are in your case. And obviously your metrics are really, really good in terms of how you respond to your audience as well. That really sets you apart. You always respond very well to all of your audience and you engage with them really well. My suspicion is that an awful lot of companies out there in the travel industry, that they want to work with all different types of media who can get their message out there. And for whatever it would be, for giving you 3 or 4 nights in their property, it's probably far less than certain other forms of marketing which they could do, and actually far better to do it with somebody who tells a true and authentic story as well. So I don't know, I would imagine you might start hopefully getting some decisions to be made, maybe, as to where you can go next in the coming time. Is there anywhere that you'd really like to travel to? I've got here that some of the places you've been to. This is from your Instagram feed: Pisa, Florence, Rome, Iceland, Malta, Thailand, Frankfurt. I mean, you've done okay. Amsterdam, Los Angeles, Croatia, Scotland, and Scotland again soon. Is there anywhere in the world that you'd really like to travel to, and why?
Really, really want to go to Japan. And then Norway as well, but obviously that trip was cancelled, so I'd love to go to either of those places. I think Japan just looks incredible. I really want to go to Kyoto and see the bamboo forest. It looks amazing. And then Norway, we really wanted to go to the Lofoten Islands because it just looks incredible. So yeah.
Where are the Berloften Islands? I have no idea.
Sorry, the Lofoten one. Did I say Belofferton or did?
No, it could have been the sound. It could have been the sound, if I'm being generous.
The Lofoten Islands are north of Norway, okay. So they're quite hard to get to. Yeah. I think we were going to take a flight from somewhere called Bodo. I could be completely wrong.
That sounds like it's about right.
Yeah, so they're just up there.
Well into the Arctic Circle.
Yeah, so hopefully we'd see the Northern Lights again, because we saw those in Iceland and it was amazing. I literally cried.
Oh, no way.
So beautiful.
Did you go to Northern Iceland?
We didn't actually. We started off in Reykjavik and then we went down south across to the east and then came back on ourselves.
Yeah, fair play. Now, when you travel, one thing that I wanted to ask is, what kind of equipment do you use drones, right? In some of your footage. So, how easy or not is it to get this kind of drone footage? Do you have a drone license? How does it all work?
I can't remember the name of it now. I did a test online. I think it's CAA. It could be CCA. I can't remember.
Okay.
I did a test online, which basically just checks how safe you are. And it licenses your drone, and you have to put a sticker on your drone and your controller. I think that's to do with if you ever crashed it into something, they could find you, I'm guessing. Right. But then also just in general with flying drones and being safe, I tend to fly my drone very early in the morning when no one is around, or just in an area where no one's around at all. And then obviously just use your common sense. Don't fly it over the Colosseum or something crazy like that, because you'll get into trouble. So yeah.
Have you ever had any accidents with a drone? I mean, you've got with these drones, I guess they're an expensive bit of kit. I've never flown a drone in my life. I'd be nervous flying something that's that expensive, thinking, oh my God, what if I hit something or someone, or it crashes or whatever else? Have you ever had any accidents or near misses with your drone?
I've had like scary moments, but I think it's important to keep calm, because else you'll just panic and then it will get worse. I've had a moment where it started to run out of battery and it was really far away. So I was just worried that it wasn't going to make it to where I was, but I was in a field, so it was kind of fine. Like if it had fallen out of the sky, it would have just landed in another field, and then I probably could have got it, but it might have been a bit bashed up. There was a time when I was in Cornwall and I was flying it, and the wind was really, really strong. And bless my mom, she was with us, and she was just screaming like the entire time, which made it like 10 times more stressful. But I managed to fly it back and it was all fine. So yeah, I haven't crashed it just yet, but we'll see.
Okay, touch wood. It doesn't happen. Some of your reels are about wild camping. Tell us a little bit about what, again, for those that don't know, what is wild camping, and what's the fascination with wild camping? What's the attraction?
Well, I only kind of got obsessed with this during last year because of COVID, actually. I went to Scotland as a kid, but I don't think I ever really appreciated the beauty of it. When we went, like as an adult, as I am now, we hired a van, and it was just really, really beautiful. And I kind of couldn't believe that it was here, like basically on my doorstep. And it was just really stunning. And Scotland, it's basically legal for you to wild camp wherever you want in Scotland. I think it's like that in other countries. I haven't looked into it completely. Maybe Switzerland, because I was really tempted to go to Switzerland and do the same thing. But it's kind of like you can just park up and wake up to the most stunning view and have like any view as your view from your hotel room, if that makes sense. We do it in a van as opposed to a tent, but I'm sure you could do it in a tent as well. And we've hired from a couple of different companies. So last time we did it with a company called Yes Caper, and this time we're doing it with Quirky Campers. So yeah, it's nice. You just kind of feel, well, you can camp wherever you want, and there's beauty in that, because sometimes you can camp up and there'll be no one around and you'll have like the view of the ocean. Other times it's a bit dodgier because you can't find a camp spot and it's like getting really late and dark, but it's the fun in it. So yeah, I enjoy it.
It was interesting actually, because it reminded me when I was looking at some of the reels on your Instagram channel. On the wild camping side and with the Campervans, it reminded me of there was a company that we had as a client when I was working for a data company, and the name of it absolutely escapes me. Of course it does, but I'll put it in the show notes. I think it was called Escape Campervans. It's a company based originally out in New Zealand, now in the US and Canada. And you hire these campervans, and they've got everything. You know, they've got the full cooking facilities. I mean, they're fab, but it's kind of not. It's not like a huge, big camper van. They were cool looking, and they're kind of decorated on the sides, looking really cool. but there's a few videos on that website. Yeah, it's called escapecampervans.com, I'm going to guess. But there was a few videos on there of that some people had taken on their trips, and it just looked absolutely out of this world. Again, like going to a place, Monument Valley, down the PCH, all that kind of stuff. I was thinking, oh my God, I could so get on board with that. Just the freedom of being able to drive wherever you want. And again, as one person was saying there, something which you just said exactly the same was, you can wake up in some of the most amazing places that you could never wake up in if you were just staying in hotels all the time or whatever else.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like if there was a hotel in some of the places that we'd wild camped, they'd be really, really expensive because the views were just really nice. And I think as well, going back to, this isn't wild camping, but even with like some of the Airbnbs, like the Monument Valley hotel that we found and the caravan in Joshua Tree, that kind of stuff is stuff that you find through Instagram anyway. So when I plan my trips anyway, I always look at Instagram, which is probably a weird way of doing it, which actually is probably quite a good insight for people who do work in the travel industry, in how influencers, again, I use the bracket marks, and how they kind of like plan their trips as well. Yeah, I don't know if any of that made sense.
No, it does, absolutely. It just, yeah, very, very interesting actually. And I think as I've started to, delve more into Instagram and other social media as well, yeah, I kind of get that completely. When I was looking on, again, looking on your feed and looking at the place that you stayed in Monument Valley, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'd love to go there. And I'm looking through the comments just in case somebody's already asked the question, and of course they have. What was the name of that place? And I'm sort of thinking, yeah, okay, I need to make a note of that place because that's somewhere. Well, I'm thinking that's somewhere that we should feature on Low Season Traveller, but I'm also thinking that's somewhere I'd love to go myself. So I can absolutely get that. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of the travel industry possibly don't realize the importance of the likes of Instagram in that way for people making their travel decisions. But that's something that that you're helping with, and hopefully we're helping with as well. So I think that's fabulous. We are coming to the end of our time, but what I wanted to do before we leave you, if that's all right, you said before you're incredibly generous. You've obviously got some incredible skills on photography and videography, and you're incredibly generous with giving others your tips and tricks via your reels, etc. Just to give people a taster, let us know what are some of the kind of instructional reels that you've got, and how you can help people. Tell us just a couple of ones that you've got.
So I can teach you how to edit people out of your photos, whether or not that's like someone in the background, or maybe there's just someone in your photo that you don't like anymore.
It could be an X.
Yeah. I'll teach you how to edit them out of your photos. I can teach you how to take photos of the stars. So I do like astrophotography stuff. I can also teach you how to create something called a cinematograph, where an object is moving in what looks like a photo and everything else is still. Is probably a better way to describe that. And yeah, I've got lots of stuff. I can teach you how to do cool transitions in your videos and stuff like that. But yeah, I've got a wide range.
Wonderful.
Tutorials.
We'd encourage everybody to go to your channel. How can people find you?
So on Instagram, I'm travel with _e.g, which stands for Emma Gill, which is my name. Some people think it stands for example. It's not. And I've got the same name on TikTok and YouTube as well.
Very good. So if anybody wants to connect with you, obviously they can see you on all of those channels. Would encourage everybody out there to check out the reels in particular. I just think they're absolutely wonderful. Emma, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for being so generous with your time. Thank you for being so generous with all of your tips and tricks on your Instagram feed as well, which I've really, really enjoyed getting to know. And wish you every success for the future. And I hope you get to Norway in the end.
Fingers crossed. Also, thank you very much for having me. It's been really nice.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Emma. Take good care and speak to you soon.
Thanks, bye.
So there you have it. It was so wonderful catching up with Emma, and I would urge you all to follow her work on Instagram, YouTube and TikTok. And you can find her on all of these channels at travelwith_EG. And join the 60,000 plus people who are inspired by Emma's travels and superb photography and videography. You can also support Emma's work by visiting the travelwith_EG store on Etsy, where Emma sells her prints of her wonderful photography. And some of them are absolutely breathtaking, and you can see some examples on her page on Low Season Traveller too. Finally, you can find more information about Emma on the Low Season Traveller website under the Influencer Series heading on the top navigation on the homepage. And indeed, you can see one of the fabulous images of Emma in Iceland, actually. It's against a rocks back setting in Iceland. Absolutely stunning piece of photography, and that's on our homepage too. But that's a wrap for this week, but please do join us next week for episode 2 of the Influencer Series, where we catch up with another wonderful guest who inspires her huge audience with her passion for affordable luxury. You will not want to miss this one, I'm sure. If you're enjoying this series, please do leave us a review on iTunes or Spotify. And if you've got any questions for our guests, or indeed any feedback, please send them through to me at Jed, that's GED, at lowseasontraveller.com. Until then, take good care, stay healthy, stay safe, keep your travel dreams alive, and remember that travel is always better without the crowds.